Hello clever people, and welcome to my review for the Avengers trilogy. So my final Marvel movie before Endgame, I am going over the three Avengers films. The first one being The Avengers coming out in 2012, second one being Avengers Age of Ultron in 2015, and the third one being Avengers Infinity War just last year in 2018. Now, in just 48 hours from now, I will be seeing Avengers Endgame, which will be the fourth installment. I am so excited for that. But until then, I will be here reviewing the three Avengers films with you guys. So we'll start off with the first one, The Avengers. It follows the story of Samuel Jackson, who plays Nick Fury, who is trying to form an Avengers, and they're trying to get together to fight the evils of the world. And right as this is happening, there is Loki, who comes to Earth with a plan to wreak havoc on New York City, and the Avengers need to assemble and destroy him, but there are some internal conflicts that keep them from doing so. The Avengers is really the movie that made the MCU a big deal. Before that, it was just, oh, it's cool, there's these superhero movies coming out, they're all pretty good. A lot of people don't like a lot of the Phase 1 movies. I mean, Iron Man 2 and Thor were pretty big duds, and not a lot of people liked The Incredible Hulk, and a lot of people didn't like Captain America: The First Avenger, so people weren't really excited for this movie, but this movie blew people out of the park. It made a huge opening weekend of $207 million, which was crazy for the time. It's weird to think, 6 years later, there are quite a few other films that have made $200 million opening and even gone higher than that. I'm sure Endgame will do the same, but at the time it was a huge deal. People were freaking out about it, and there's a good reason for that. Back when I saw Avengers when I was a younger kid, I thought it was entertaining, but I didn't think, wow, this is incredible, this is life-changing. My passion for the MCU really came later in the kind of the middle part of Phase 2. Captain America: The Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy are what really solidified it for me. But looking back at the Avengers now, this is a really well put together movie. My only problem with it is that it's dated, and that's unfortunate. Maybe it's because I watched it on DVD and the lower quality made it feel more dated, but it did feel a bit dated. But still, I think what's so great about this film is, one, it's entertaining as all heck. It's so entertaining from start to finish. It's non-stop. You're just invested in the story. You want to see it go on. But what's most interesting to me about this movie is the way that they dealt with the Avengers as a group. Usually groups, when they're starting up like this, when they're forced to be with each other, they fight. And that's exactly what they did in this movie. I mean, they easily could have gone on the route of, we're the Avengers, we need to team up, we need to fight evil, but they spend a lot of the movie with just Tony Stark and Captain America going at odds, which they've been doing since the Avengers. That's how long of a feud it's been. I'm sure that when it comes, and even a lot of the other movies, like the Avengers Age of Ultron, they were feuding in that movie too. They've always been arguing with each other. But in the Avengers, it's really clear that they have a lot of problems with each other, and the rest of the team has problems with each other, and they touch on those problems a lot. And that's maybe something I didn't appreciate as a kid, but seeing it now, it's very intelligent, and it's a very strong way to get you invested in the team right away, because once you see that they can put aside their differences for the greater good, that's when you understand that they're a team you want to invest yourselves in. The Avengers overall is probably one of the most entertaining MCU movies. I'm so glad that I finally understand everybody saying this is one of the best MCU movies. I always said that it was like middle of the road. I always thought Age of Ultron was better than it, but after watching it this time, I fully agree. It's such a well put together movie. It's so entertaining, and I will be giving The Avengers a 7.75 out of 10. Alright, now we are on to Avengers Age of Ultron, which follows the story of Tony Stark, who is making a robot to help with humanity, trying to make it better, and in doing so, he accidentally creates a murder bot who kills Jarvis, who tries to take on the entire world and tries to cause an extinction level event to get rid of humanity to better the world. So Avengers Age of Ultron came out at the height of my MCU hype. I was so excited for this movie when it came out. I went to the Avengers double featured where they showed the first movie and then the second movie right afterwards. I loved it when it first came out. I was nuts about it. I thought it was the best MCU movie. Watching it again, I see its problems now, but I still think that this movie gets too much negative talk for how good it is. Because it is a very good movie. I think the problem is with Joss Whedon, because he is a great director. He was a great director for the Avengers because that was all about excitement. They didn't have to go into any serious themes at that point. That was about excitement. That was about building up the audience. And that was about pure entertainment. The problem with Avengers Age of Ultron is that we've had more time with these characters. We understand them more, and because of that, they try to go a bit deeper into the characters. They form a romance between Hulk and Black Widow. They build up Tony Stark more, even though he was already pretty built up from 3 movies and the Avengers. They build him up more. You understand more about his personal feelings on the situation, and they do that for every character. The problem is, Joss Whedon isn't great at the more serious dramatic stuff, or at least he wasn't in this movie, and because of that, the movie suffers. All the dramatic and serious stuff just falls kind of flat, and that's a big problem, but I still think it's entertaining. And the way that it follows the group dynamic, the group feels natural. Honestly, I think that's part of the reason that these movies work so well, is that the group, the Avengers, feels so natural. And a year later, when they had to fight in Civil War, seeing the group as they were in Age of Ultron, you could sense that there was still tension going on, but you saw these tight group of friends, and then they were split up in Civil War. It made Civil War a lot better, honestly, this movie coming out. And it's not really a compliment to a movie to say that a good thing about it is that it made another movie good, but that is a good thing about it. Another good thing is that, I mean, I feel repetitive saying it, but it's entertaining. It's very well structured. It does have some over-polished dialogue, but for the most part, the conversations feel natural. It still has that natural pace, and I still very much enjoy Avengers Age of Ultron. It's problematic, and I understand now why it's not quite on the level of the Avengers or Avengers Infinity War, but I still do enjoy it, and I will give Avengers Age of Ultron a 7.25 out of 10. Alright, now on to Avengers Infinity War. So, this film follows the story of Thanos, who is a mad titan who wants to collect all 6 Infinity Stones and snap his fingers, and then half of the population will be decimated so that the universe can support itself. So what I found interesting about Avengers Age of Ultron and Infinity War is that they both use the ideas of Darwin and extinction and natural selection as a way of the evil doer going about their plot and humans trying to stop it. I thought it was interesting that both movies were about that. That's what I noticed this time around. I won't talk too much on Infinity War because I did a huge review back when it came out. It's been in my mind constantly, and I feel like I've talked about it so many times at this point. But I gotta say, Avengers Infinity War is a great film. It is non-stop craziness. There's so much plot going on, and watching it again this time, you just realize how much plot is happening at the same time. And the fact that the Russo brothers could, 1, have so much plot going on at once, 2, have all of these characters tie in with each other and tie in with the plot in a way that feels natural, and 3, have all of the characters feel like the same characters that they were in their standalone movie. That's a huge thing that nobody ever talks about, is that imagine a director forming a character like, Peyton Reed with Ant-Man. Imagine a person like that forming a character, and then the Russo brothers are handed that character with none of the knowledge of how Peyton Reed went about making Ant-Man. And yet Ant-Man still feels like just the same character. There's nothing weird about him. There's nothing different. And that goes for every single character in this movie. This movie was honestly insane. It was a feat. It was amazing. And I'm still in love with it. I think that it's by far the best MCU movie. And I think there's not a whole lot of problems with it, at least from my end. I still don't have a problem with its runtime. I don't have a problem with how much it takes on, because it does it in a good way. I just think that Avengers Infinity War is the ultimate MCU movie, but again, 48 hours from now, that could be a different story. So that concludes my MCU reviews. This was super fun going through all the MCU movies and reviewing them. My Endgame review will be out sometime this weekend, so look for that. But anyways, that concludes my review. So what are your thoughts on the Avengers films, or how would you rank them? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. Personally, I would put Avengers Infinity War top of the MCU, then both Guardians movies, and then the Avengers, and then a few more movies, and later down there would be Avengers Age of Ultron. For Avengers Endgame, I think I will rank every single MCU movie, and I'll share what that is. But anyway, that concludes my review. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.